For almost the entire existence of modern League of Legends, Europe has been a consistently stronger region than North America. So coming into this year's Worlds, we were expecting nothing different. When G2 versus NRG was drawn, we immediately saw it as a David versus Goliath matchup. NRG barely scraped by in their regular season. They weren't even supposed to make it to Worlds, let alone win the LCS. Many people thought of their surprising victory as a complete fluke. Meanwhile, G2 has been a titan of Europe, consistently touted as having superstar talent, international success, and easily smashing through their regular season. It was no surprise that they wound up as Europe's #1 seed. When these two teams met, not a single analyst predicted that NRG would win.
We are guaranteed to get a Western team to quarterfinals, and it is a high likelihood that it is a 2-syllable tri-code.
Yet, here we are, looking at a score of 2-0 for NRG, etched into history. How did this happen? Well, this is the story of how 75 Gold knocked G2 out of Worlds. In Game 2 of their best of 3, NRG led 1-0 in the series. A win here puts G2 out of the tournament completely, so the pressure was on. Looking at the gold for both teams, G2 is slightly ahead, but the game is essentially even. With the looming pressure of Ornn items and Azir threatening to outscale their counterpart into the late game, there's a lot of rush on NRG's part to make something happen before front-to-back teamfighting becomes very, very difficult. With third drag spawning in 30 seconds, both teams' attention shifts towards bot-side river setup. However, you can see that G2 is miles ahead on this idea, with their jungle and support hovering mid to get priority and enter together. Contracts and Ignar are both incredibly far away, and while Contracts makes a direct point to avoid revealing this information to the enemy team, he gets caught on a sneaky ward on top of the Scuttle Crab. Because of this, G2 should have pushed further into the bot side jungle and gotten better wards. However, they do not take advantage of this and end up with their immediate vision just covering locations barely over the walls from river. If they had, this game would have likely been a completely different story. Ignar places a pink ward down and clears out the shallow vision that G2 got surrounding mid. But this is not the 75 gold that broke the camel's back. The most important moment happens completely off screen. With one ward remaining past river for G2, Rumble is able to rotate from bot lane and places a single pink that now completely turns off all of G2's remaining vision and NRG's jungle. Now they are completely blind, and this is the beginning of the end. With huge tanks on G2's side and incredible backline damage output, a front-to-back teamfight is incredibly hard for NRG. Knowing this, Palafox maneuvers onto the flank, and because of G2's lack of deep vision, this movement goes completely unnoticed. By Taliyah walling on the side, Palafox is able to corral G2 into a perfect spot for Rumble ult to have its maximum effect. While Broken Blade breaks down a section of the wall, Hans Sama and Caps find themselves in completely irredeemable positions, and are both forced to flash and use their other defensive tools in Xayah ult and Azir E. This significantly lowers their damage output in this fight and makes it look winning initially for NRG. But with no more backline access, the tides start to shift as G2 carries begin to be able to hit again. And you can see just how difficult this fight was, even with the ideal conditions lining up. However, now we will see just how valuable this one pink ward was. With G2 regaining confidence, they move forward to take back space and contest Dragon, and unknowingly walk right into the second flank of the fight by Palafox, who lands an incredibly clutch Taliyah W onto Caps. With this, G2 completely crumbles and NRG not only secure a 4-for-1 teamfight, but soul points. The advantage gained from this fight completely snowballs and leads to them winning every fight going forward. And with that, G2 is knocked out of Worlds. So while the 75 gold spent in Rumble's inventory literally won them the game, there is one key theme that made NRG the better team on the day. G2's slight error in execution of not placing deep wards when given the chance gave NRG a glimmer of hope in an otherwise very difficult situation. NRG practically had one way back in the game, and against all odds, they managed to find it. But this was a situation that occurred several times. G2 consistently had the right idea. Every play had clear intention and clear avenues to victory, but NRG managed to find the Achilles heel in every single one. Today, we're going to be going over what we can learn from this series. In your own games, your opponents might have the right play, but if you can spot the one chink in the armor, the one vulnerability, the one shortcoming of their plan, you can alter the timelines completely on your own. Also, if you don't know, this guide comes from SkillCap, which is the #1 instructional resource in League of Legends. I highly recommend you check us out after this video, as one subscription grants access to all of our world-class League of Legends courses, which will have you mastering the most important concepts that actually help you climb, backed by an improvement money-back back guarantee, so you don't need to take my word for it. And with that, let's dive deeper into NRG's massive upset win. If we look at the beginning of game 1, once again, NRG is put in an almost impossible situation. Contractz is put off to an unthinkably bad start. While he starts his top side, Yike is able to sneak into his bot side and literally takes all 3 of NRG's bot side camps. Disregarding crabs, this means that Contractz is on pace to only get 3 camps of his own, while Yike can potentially secure 9. With this, Contractz tries to make a Hail Mary gank onto mid lane in an attempt to gain priority and be able to invade Yike. But because he shows, Yike is able to come, force his flash, and protects all of his camps. So if you just saw this in the first 3 minutes of the game, you would probably assume that G2 won swiftly. Yet, if we look forward just 5 minutes, Contractz is counter ganking in a 2v3 scenario, and he's a level up on Yike. Together with Palafox aggressively flashing in, they make a complete hero play to turn the game solidly in their favor. So how did this happen? Well, let's go back and look at how Contractz abused one simple mistake from Yike to turn this game completely on its head. In this situation, Contractz has no camps up, but to contrast this, Yike is actually suffering from success. He has too many things to do all at once, to the point that he's overloaded on his responsibilities. The only thing Contractz can hope to do in this situation is attempt to keep Yike overloaded and pray he crumbles. It's do or die. By constantly dancing around to pressure Yike, he's hoping that he can drag him around the map and force him to waste time while his camps respawn. If he can't, Yike simply gets to full clear while Contractz is stuck doing nothing, and the game is over. In this moment, he calls for his bot lane to begin building a massive slow pushed wave. He knows that his initial invade attempt was shut down on top side, so he has to make some sort of attempt on the bot side of the map. You can see how intentional this was because he completely skips bot side Scuttle Crab to immediately run into the jungle of G2. By timing this perfectly with the bot lane crash of Ignar and FBI, he calls Tahm Kench over to help assist him. Kai'Sa will be busy catching the massive wave, and with numbers advantage, he can easily force the Grom. But that's only one camp clawed back for Contractz. Right now, Yike is still solidly ahead and looking to push his lead. He tries to force Vi out of the jungle, but Contractz makes a game-winning call here. He refuses to give up his Raptors. He knows that if Yike is to get any more ahead, he'll be completely out of the game. So even a level down, he turns to face his demons and does not concede. Contractz walks headfirst into the bush, assuming that Bel'Veth was taking his Raptors. But Yike makes one mechanical misplay here. He misses W and fails to meaningfully damage Vi at all. While this may not seem like a big deal, it's actually massive. Without the HP lead, Yike cannot stick around to continue to pressure enemy Raptors. He may be ahead, but he cannot ignore the teleports from both mid laners. Now, Contractz only has to walk a few units in order to reach his camps and continue making progress, while Yike has to cross river and retreat back to his own jungle. This time loss and the Gromp that Contractz took earlier severely hurts Bel'Veth here. When they both go back to their jungles, Contractz has 2 camps to do and Yike only 1. Suddenly, Contractz is actually tied for CS in an impossible situation. Contractz easily could have tried to full clear up instead, but by doing this single quadrant clear, he sets himself up to gain a large amount of tempo on his opponent. By basing now, he's coming back on map with an 1100 gold item, while Yike hasn't recalled yet. While they both have 2 camps to do in their top side left, Vi has an item, and that means she's not due to reset after the fact. When it comes to it, they're both almost dead on even with each other, but there is one key factor. The top crab is yet to spawn. Yike has had too much to do the entire game, and finally crumbles under the pressure. Now, his tempo has finally caught up to him, and Contractz has taken the lead. Without having his item, he is completely unable to contest this crab, and has no choice but to give it to Vi. Jungle camps are worth 4 CS, and if we look at the difference in Bel'Veth and Vi's CS numbers, we will see 53 to 49. Exactly 1 camp. Conveniently, this is the exact camp that Contractz needed in order to hit 6 just before Yike. And with the Vi ult, the mid lane play that defied all odds and all expectations after the first 3 minutes of this game completely turns the momentum around and secures the game for NRG. League of Legends is a game of inches. In both of these situations, there was one explosive play that led to a massive swing in the game. But without the tiniest of details, and finding the exact solution needed to problem solve their way out of a seemingly unwinnable position, NRG would never have been able to win. G2 left a handful of weaknesses in their play that were perfectly exploited. And it goes to show that even in the most dire of circumstances and the worst of situations, no one is capable of playing perfectly. No matter how doomed the game may seem, there is always an out. You just have to find it. All right, guys, remember to check out Skill Capped if you want to start improving faster than anyone else and get the best start to Season 14 guaranteed. Thanks for watching, and as always, we'll catch you in the next one.